sad in the 20th century, in the 1990s, we have to still go the same bullshit route that other artists have had to go to get acceptance. If it wasn't for the independence, if it wasn't for the small little cities and the few little ghetto guys trying to make music, it would have never happened. Some of these guys will never make a dime. Some of these guys will be poor and die alone. But in the process, they've been the true renegades. And the true rebels always walk alone anyway. guys will never make a dime. But in the process, they've been the true renegades. And the true rebels always walk alone anyway.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the British Boring Car Championship. And once again, we are here on a Thursday night for two fantastic races here at Donington Park for rounds 3 and 4 of the championship. And I tell you one thing, I cannot wait to get this one underway. We had a really good race meeting last time out at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit for the first 2 rounds of the championship. And we saw some epic racing there. Real epic racing. A couple of very pivotal points in the championship already maybe out of the way. Especially for the likes of Dennis Melcher as well, who we saw going into the first round and was genuinely one of the favourites, to be honest. And he did not capitalise on it after a mistake in the first few laps of round 1 of the championship. It was a real pivotal moment. I've just realised as well, by the way, that the music isn't playing over the background, so not quite sure what's gone on there. Thank you very much to the wonderful OBS that typically hates me by the look of it, and I'm not going to restart it. Also, just bear with me and we'll get the music on the way that we usually have on these streams, as you've all become so familiar with by now. It's probably worth looking at the championship standings at this point. You can see here that the one and only Tom Jacobs will lead the championship. He had a win in race 1 of the season and then finished second in the second race of the season, with his teammate Jack Werrell taking the win in that one. 25 points, all his, meaning that Nodaphone are top of the team standings as well, as you can imagine, first and second there. Matt Draycott had a very impressive first race meeting of the season, finishing in third in one race and fourth in the second, so he's got 20 points to his name. Then we have Dave Waldock in fourth on 19 points, only 1 point behind him. And then another point back is one of the championship favourites, Dennis Melcher. Now, he had a really good second race, so he got 15 points out of that. He got 2 points in race 1, and of course a point for pole position in race 1. So he managed to get himself 18 points. The rest of them you can see there. In the Independence Championship, it is Matt Draycott that is very clear from Steve Burke on 4 points, 16 points behind him. And Steve actually isn't here tonight. He has other commitments elsewhere. He's racing in the Brit Car E-Series tonight, which has taken precedent over this. But I tell you what, can't wait to see how these guys get on then. We're going to just have a quick look through what is going on. A couple of the guys sat in the pits at the moment. Here is Tom Jacobs out on track for Team Nodaphone. I'm just going to turn the car volume up a little bit, actually, because I did turn it down the other day when I was commentating on NASCAR. So you should be able to hear them now. It's currently Dennis Melcher, though, that's top of the pile here at Donington Park with a 1 minute 46. This is actually just practice at the moment. He's done a 46.3. I'll still show you the gaps on the left-hand side. It's so close. 1.7 seconds covers the whole field. So it's nothing really spread out amongst these guys. Let's have a look at some of the other guys then. Andy Fox was very impressive at Brands Hatch. He had a bit of a tough time in pre-season testing, but he did a really good job there. Just didn't quite get the results that he was after. Him and his teammate Niall Crowth are both doing absolutely fine jobs, though. Don't forget, we're on the Grand Prix loop tonight as well at Donington Park. So they've got to do the longer section of the circuit, as they used to in the late 90s and mid-90s in the British Touring Car Championship. Down into the hairpin. And we've seen a couple of the guys really struggling with getting the car around there. And I think we're going to see a lot of interesting manoeuvres going on there. We've got a bit of camera shake going on here, so if you'll bear with me 1 second, you will see the iRacing UI come up, because I don't like the shake personally. I like a nice solid roll bar camera. I don't really think it should shake from there, do you? So Andy Fox brings it in the pit lane then. Ben Lambert out on track at the moment. Another interesting addition to iRacing's cameras has been the auto exposure feature. No, not like that. Where the lighting on the camera tends to change depending on what is on screen. So It'll be interesting to see for some of our later rounds of the championship. We actually have a couple of rounds under lights later on in the season. So it'll be great to see whether that has any effect on it. Ben currently just chucking the car around a little bit and enjoying himself. 10 seconds left of practice. Here comes Morgan Butler for Team Jane Fonda out of the final corner. And Ford, he says it's his home track. He's looking forward to this one. Well, interesting you say that, because someone that is going to consider this as his home track is Jack Werrell. Jack was actually speaking to me beforehand, and let me just give you the story as he gave it to me. He said, on May the 18th in 2002, my dad and mum, who was pregnant at the time, were at Donington Park for DTM. And then all of a sudden, my mum was rushed into hospital, and within an hour, I came into the world 10 weeks early. So I said to Jack that if he crashes into someone tonight, it's not going to be the first time he's ruined a perfectly nice day out to Donington Park. But it's definitely his home track. Here are some of the guys out in practice at the moment. Well, coming out at the beginning of qualifying. Werrell is giving Melcher a bit of a push down the hill. Andy Fox has a new rig he's using tonight. Interesting. He was saying he was getting used to it. Tom Jacobs, our championship leader, by the way, is now on triples for the first time this evening. So we did tease him saying he's actually going to have some spatial awareness this time round. Oh, there's that was Dave Waldock going very wide at the old hairpin. Same again with Morgan Butler, just in the background as well. We're going to see a lot of these guys really pushing the car to its limit around here. There's your Independence Championship leader. We have called it the Mediocre Cup for Independence. And it's Matt Draycott, my brother, leading the way. Oh, bit of a blip there for him. So what can Dennis Melcher do? That's the question. Dennis did go into this admittedly as one of the favourites for the championship. We all know that he is very quick in the Jetta. A lot of his teammates call him the king of the Jetta as well, because they have that much confidence in his pace and his ability. So it may be worth going on board for a lap with Dennis and give you an idea of, well, it's very bright in here, isn't it? Very, very bright in here. Hoping that we can deal with that. I'll tell you what, again, let me just see if there's... Can you... Oh, no, it does it very slowly. You can't actually turn off the auto exposure. That's annoying, isn't it? Thanks, iRacing. There you go. Sorry about that, everybody. You have to mess about with these things and test them out as he runs very wide around turn one. Look at that, though. You can't see out of the car. You can see it just down the hill, and it's a nice little sort of memento, but sort of renders some of the onboard shots a bit useless, doesn't it? And yes, for anyone that didn't know, it was blamed on Dennis's dog last week. The reason for him going off at Sheen Curve. Apparently he couldn't brake because his dog ran under his legs around his rig, and he didn't want to kick the dog, so he let off the brakes, which is nice, but it's not going to win you a championship, is it, Dennis? Is Niall Crowther second on track at the moment. The cars have like this murky sort of effect about them when they're not in the sun. It looks a bit strange. And Jack Werrell is putting pressure on Niall Crowther, which he probably shouldn't do if he's not on a clean lap at the moment. Into the chicane they go, and Jack is still putting the pressure on Niall, despite this being Niall's qualifying lap. And to be honest, Jack's probably going to get a bit of a smack on the wrist for that, because he's ruined his own lap, and he's invalidated that, and now obviously he's putting the pressure on Niall, and I'm sure Niall won't be a huge fan of that either. Just behind him on track is Rob Lundgren. He's got his teammate a couple of cars ahead of him on circuit at the moment. And Rob, again, he was actually one that really surprised me, because in the pre-season test that we did, Rob did qualify last on the grid, then he came through and finished 5th. And he actually did the same in the first round of the championship as well. Not actually getting the same sort of result, but still a massive climb up the order. Dennis Melcher goes top then with a 1:46.603. Rob Lundgren 1.4 seconds off him. Jack Werrell crosses the line, obviously not a valid lap for him. We'll see the lap times coming on the left-hand side. Michael Blake goes second fastest. Dave Waldock goes top for Might Just Fit. Tom Jacobs goes into third place, but still 6/10 off Dennis Melcher and Dave Waldock, so quite a gap there. Tom runs wide out of turn one as well, so that's not going to help his lap time. Here's the independent Ben Lambert, just coming round into the final hairpin. It's a very difficult corner to get right as well, because you can't really see the apex as you turn in. It goes over the crest of a hill and back down. You can't always see it, especially in a car that's this high up as well. It is like it's on stilts, this Jetta. Matt Draycott's gone into 4th. Ben Lambert goes 7th, just a second off the pace. Ben's really improved on last week as well. And Ben has really improved, to be fair, since pre-season testing as well. I know that he really struggled to get on with the car. What's Niall Crowther doing this time? He's got Jack Werrell a long way behind him now, so he doesn't have to worry about him putting the pressure on so much. And he can just crack on with his own time and see what he can do in the dodgy MOT Ford replica that we all know and love. Let me tell you, the spec map was a pain on that one. Carl Jacquelette's gone into 9th place. Josh Rayfield is 7th at the moment. The top 8 all within a second of the leaders. Or the leader, I should say, Dave Waldock. And Dave was quick at Brands. He got very close to a win in race 1. The car just in front of him on track, actually, Tom Jacobs, was the one that stopped him from doing so. And then in race 2, he got caught up with a couple of the other guys as well and made contact in a few different places. But still, he's up there in the championship, 4th place at the moment. And don't forget, we have Matt Draycott, the independent, 3rd in the championship. Niall Crowther goes up to 9th place. Carl Jacquelette now down to 9th. They cross the line. They all shimmy around a bit. Michael Blake goes into 4th. Jacobs doesn't set a valid time. Waldock doesn't either. And that's Carl Jacquelette just behind them there. Morgan Butler goes into 12th place for Team Jane Fonda. He's 2.4 seconds off the pace. I think he's struggling a little bit at the moment. Jack Werrell, still no lap time from him. And obviously the winner of round 2 of the championship, he is going to want to do a little bit better than that this evening. He's going to want to keep the momentum from the previous round. See whether he can top that. 2nd in the championship. It just goes to show as well how important those points are in the feature race. Of course, we follow the modern day Formula 1 point system for the points in the feature race. So it's 25, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. If I've got that right. I think I said it a bit too quick for my own good. And then in the sprint race, it's just 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and then 1 point for each position going down until you get to 10th place, where you get the last point. Anything outside of that does not score you any points. So the sprint race, some of them are calling it a little bit benign, but it's those tiny differences. You know, if you have one poor sprint race and get a 0, where one of your competitors even gets 6 points, that can be the difference between winning a championship and not winning a championship. Andy Fox has gone 3rd. Again, proving the point that he's definitely improved since pre-season testing. Josh Rayfield is up to 4th. Josh was one of the drivers that was very, very quick at Brands Hatch, and to be fair, I was quite surprised that he isn't higher up there, and he actually hasn't scored any points. His whole team, Team Netcode, haven't scored points so far this season. Dennis Melchett goes top with a 1:46.332, nearly 2/10 quicker than Dave Waldock. So the Ericsson Hittles car is on its way at the moment for another championship point from qualifying. Tom Jacobs goes up to 3rd. Finally gets the lap on the board that he wanted, but still not enough for pole. He did start, a bit of a moment there, he did start 3rd on the grid in the first round of the championship though, where he won. So the 3 cars that haven't set laps so far then: Chris Coughlin, the independent from Scotland, in the Matt Neal horrendous replica that I made. He's trying to get a clean lap in here, and that's the important bit. You can push very hard on a track like this and not get a clean lap in, or a banker lap as we call it. But it seems like he's not managed to do that yet. Seems nice and smooth out the final corner. Down the straight he goes. Just in the background there, that is Andy Fox coming in the pit lane. Chris goes up to 11th place there with a 1:48 dead. But Jack Werrell and Derek Robb are the only 2 cars now not to have set times. Derek Robb here for Team Jane Fonda in the number 11 car takes quite a bit of grass on the apex there at the final hairpin, lets it run out wide. Pete Newman joins us in the chat. Good to see you, mate. And still no time from Derek Robb. Fingers crossed he can get one on the board though. I think that was Niall Crowther just coming out the pit lane there. It was Ben Lambert just behind him. Those two 8th and 9th respectively at the moment. And Jack Werrell is the one that surprises me. Jack has been very, very quick around here in the practice sessions that we've been having. He actually won the practice race on Tuesday night that these guys had. So we know that there's big things from Jack to come. But he's not delivered yet, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. Into the final hairpin he goes. You can just see how the car doesn't quite want to turn in round there. It really sort of has a moment on the way in. Across the line. He's pulled it over to the right. That must have meant something. Wow, he's 9th on the grid though. 1.2 seconds off the pace so far. And that's not going to be enough to get where he wants to be. Hello everybody on the Facebook stream as well. I do see you there. We have 42 viewers on the Facebook stream at the moment. That's doing well. Pleased to see it. Thank you everybody. We've got Ben Lambert off the track. Oh, and there's a Niall Crowther off the track as well, doing a bit of grass tracking there. Bit of agricultural work. He's lucky that the Dunlop Bridge isn't there anymore. Real shame that as well, to be honest. I did love the old Dunlop Bridge, but unfortunately it is no longer with us. Or I think there was a story about Chris Harris buying it or something a while ago, I'm pretty sure. The two dodgy MOT cars together there. Just going around the final corner. Number 23, Niall Crowther, and number 21, Andy Fox. Down the straight they go. Chasing Ben Lambert as well. Don't forget Niall and Ben, very, very good friends. Childhood friends from high school, well, even primary school together. Same with my brother Matt Draycott. Down the crane curves they go. Such a scary bit of racetrack to go round and negotiate your way through, no matter what car you're in as well. Up they go then towards McLean's at the top of the hill. Now I used to listen to Charlie Cox in the 90s and I couldn't decide whether it's McLean's or McLean's just because of his accent. So you can determine that one for me. Derek Robb and Morgan Butler at the moment, the two Team Jane Fonda cars at the bottom of the grid. As things stand, that was him just letting Michael Blake through there. And he's gone a bit deep into the chicane. Look at the car bouncing and wriggling around all over the shop. All over the place through there. Onto the brakes, into the hairpin then. Not long to go in the session now. Only 3 minutes left. And Matt Draycott has made his way up to 5th place, the lead independent. The independents on the left-hand side of your screen, by the way, are determined by the yellow strips. You may see it at the top. Yep, because it's white text you can't read it, but there you go. He's just ahead of Josh Rayfield. Tom Jacobs still sat in 3rd at the moment. He's got his teammate Jack Werrell just behind him, obviously trying to use him for a bit of slipstream. Or just a bit of guidance around the lap even. No, Ian, this is not a evening race, mate. This is just the settings for this one are afternoon, and then the second race of the night is going to be late afternoon settings. So we're going to get a bit more sort of changeable conditions in the second one. Oh, Jack turns in really early there through Coppice. Look at the car bouncing around. He's almost desperate to try and get some grip, and he's going to pull over because he knows that that lap is not going to get him anywhere on the grid. Chris Coughlin driving past him there. 12th place at the moment. You can see the car just wants to move slightly under brakes down towards the hairpin. It's not too drastic, but it's enough to sort of let the drivers know I'm going to try and bounce a little bit. Anton Dupin in the chat on YouTube. Good to see you, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. Across the line goes Chris. He keeps it in a straight line as best he can. And Andy Fox has gone up to P3 ahead of Tom Jacobs. So he's really flying at the moment. Thank you very much, Anton. I'm glad you like the liveries, mate. I made all of them myself. Everything you see on screen I've done. Obviously I didn't make SDK for the overlay software, but I've customised the life out of it. And hopefully it looks alright. But Andy Fox, 3rd at the moment. Great, great performance by Andy. I'm very pleased for him. Let's see if he can get some more points. Don't forget, the second race of the night is a reverse grid race between 10th and 16th. Any position between 10th and 16th could end up on pole position, and they have to have finished the race no less than one lap down. Sorry, no more than one lap down, I should say. But Dennis Melcher is on his way at the moment to pole position number 2 this season out of the 2 race meetings that we've done. Around the final hairpin he goes. Is it going to be an improvement? I couldn't understand what the commentators were saying back then. I love it, Anton. Love it. That is the end of the session then for Dennis. No lap time posted from him. Chris Coughlan's going to be one of the next cars across the line. He's coming up to the final hairpin now. He's got Jack Werrell just behind him. Takes an early apex. He's hopefully not going to get in Jack's way. No, he goes straight into the pits. Jack floors it to the line. Is he going to make an improvement? He does. He goes up to 5th place, just behind his teammate and just ahead of Matt Draycott. Very important stuff there for Jack Werrell to improve on that position. Second in the championship, and he really needs to stay up there, to be honest. Might have a hard time against some of these guys. Michael Blake around the final corner. He's so close to beating Josh Rayfield at the moment in terms of lap time. Across the line he goes. And Dave Waldock has just had Matt Draycott go 1,000th of a second faster than Andy Fox. Michael Blake is 7th. Ashley Jacobs, Tom's dad, saying it's the Mackies that Tom ate before qualifying. It's slowing him down. It must be, mate. It must be. But Draycott 3rd in the independent car. What a great performance from him. The 2 Notaphone cars that are 1st and 2nd in the championship at the moment, they line up 5th and 6th as things stand. If Carl Jacquelette can get himself further up the order, he may spoil the party. Let's see. He does. He goes 10th. He splits the 2 independents. So Lambert is in a team netcode sandwich at the moment then. And that will round out the session. Although Dennis Melcher, I think, managed to get himself on another lap. Will this one count? No. He's going to pull the car over into the pit lane. But it's going to be pole position number 2 out of 2 for Dennis Melcher. And what a great, great performance from him. As you can see then, just pulls his way down the pit lane. Some of the guys still sat in there. His teammate Rob Lundgren there just parked up behind as well. You can see the difference in the 2 windscreen banners. That's the sort of detail we go into here in the British Boring Car Championship. So round 3 is upon us. And you have your grid. And I tell you what, it shows that we've got some sort of theme in the midfield with some of these guys. But the guys at the top, well, that could be any order you want it. Just waiting for the grid to come up now. The session will just tick over for another moment or so. Just while it finishes, it just has a little timer at the end, just to make sure that everybody can get back in time. And basically pop into the car, and Dennis is going to take it back out, or is it because he's still sat in the car that it's doing that? Let's hope that it's not his dog that's going to stop him this time. So, here is your grid then for round 3 of the championship. And for some reason that bit at the top's gone transparent, thanks. Melcher and Waldock make a great front row for us. Matt Draycott 3rd alongside Andy Fox. Then it's the 2 Notaphone cars, Tom Jacobs and Jack Werrell on row 3. Michael Blake is 7th with Josh Rayfield 8th. And it's Ben Lambert, Carl Jacquelette rounding out your top 10. We then have Chris Coughlan and Niall Crowther. And then behind them is Rob Lundgren, Morgan Butler and Derek Robb. Rounds out your field. So, we're away then already. They caught me out with that one. Matt Draycott through the middle. Dave Waldock goes into the race lead. Dennis Melcher got a horrible start. Not quite sure what happened to Derek Robb at the back of the field, but Dave Waldock leads into turn 1. Draycott down the inside. And for the second race meeting running, Draycott takes the lead on lap 1 from 3rd on the grid. What a brilliant start. And in the midfield, Andy Fox has still got Tom Jacobs behind him. Michael Blake has gained a place. Ben Lambert's got ahead of Josh Rayfield in there as well. Let's watch the front as they go down into the old hairpin for the first time. They're all going wide. Draycott's wide. Waldock's wide as well. Melcher's on his right-hand side now. Melcher's going to try and go around the outside. He's got the pace as well. He's going to try and go around Draycott here. They're almost 3 wide going up towards McLean's. The whole field is in a massive bunch. Dennis shows his nose down the inside, and he's going to take the lead back off Draycott. What a great move from Dennis Melcher. There's still a bit of an overlap, though. Does he give Matt the room? Going up towards Coppice, they nearly make contact again. Waldock's going to get a great view of this. Just in there in the middle as well. Andy Fox is watching this between the two Might Just Fit cars. Jack Werrell's gone around the outside of Tom Jacobs. Has he got a slowdown from Coppice? Oh, Coughlin making contact with Lundgren there as well. Amazing action on the first lap though. Waldock right behind Draycott, who gives Dennis a little bit of a tap in the rear as they go through the chicane. He's gone deep in there. Waldock's surely going to try and get the cutback, but here comes Andy Fox. Andy Fox has gone down the inside, down to the hairpin for the very first time then. What are we going to see here? Who's late on the brakes? Waldock goes into the gap. Blake is late on the brakes as well. Draycott's gone really deep, and he's gone from the race lead down to 6th place now behind Jack Werrell. And then he's got the two Team Netcode cars behind him. He's still on the inside of Jack Werrell though. And now Draycott's gone down the inside of Michael Blake. Werrell's got to hang it round the outside. Side by side as they come onto the straight. Still not making contact. Jacobs has dropped right down into 11th place. And the two Team Jane Fonda cars are on a nightmare at the back of the pack. This is Werrell and Draycott. Werrell coming over all the way to the left of the circuit. And he holds it in front then. Just going to reload the overlay because it's had a bit of a nightmare on the left hand side. Sorry about that, everybody. And there you go then. There are your gaps. But Dennis Melcher is the only car now that is where he started after lap 1, leading the way. Andy Fox is second with the two Might Just Fit cars of Michael Blake and Dave Waldock, except the other way round, right behind him. And then you've got Jack Werrell and this absolute train of cars. Draycott chasing him down with Josh Rayfield. And this is the beauty of this, that we've had all that and nobody having a major incident. Ben Lambert's actually gone off though. Let's have a look at what happens to Ben. Down to the old hairpin. Must have had some sort of issue into there. It's easy to do. Oh, he's just gone way too hot in there. Runs wide. Yeah, the car's out of shape. Saves it though. Does a fine job in saving it. And Waldock and Blake have swapped places now. They're side by side. That's Coughlin and Jackalette in the background. Carl squeezing, squeezing. Chris gives him the room. Look at him, 2 wheels through the chicane, absolutely nose to tail, all of them. Tom Jacobs has just got past Derek Robb and he's trying to make his way back up this order as well. He's got Chris Coughlin and Carl Jackalette still fighting in front of him. Chris down the inside. Josh Rayfield's just overtaken Matt Draycott in front of them. Chris dispatches of Carl. Now Tom Jacobs wants a piece of the pie as well. So close the whole field. This is brilliant racing from all of them. Jackalette now has Jacobs on his outside. Jacobs gets hung out to dry. Derek Robb can smell an opportunity now as well. So many cars side by side. Jack Werrell is also all over the back of Michael Blake. Just behind him it's Josh Rayfield and Matt Draycott. Side by side towards turn 1. Nearly kissing wing mirrors as they turn in. On the brakes. Draycott on the outside. Don't make contact, boys. We know that these cars can bounce around and sort of jump off each other. Go on board with Jacobs then as he chases down Carl Jackalette. The auto exposure doing its thing on the camera. Sorry about that, everyone. Is Tom going to go down the inside into the old hairpin? Wouldn't advise it. Thank you very much, Ian. Much appreciated, mate. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Look at how nose to tail the entire field is, though. Just on board, you can see how many cars are so close around you. And Derek Robb is right up Tom Jacobs' exhaust pipe as well, just behind him. So close indeed. Coughlin's a little bit deep into McLean's. Rayfield and Draycott are right together as well. Matt looks down the inside into Coppice. Tom covers the line. Sorry, Josh covers the line. Matt still manages to get the overlap though. All this time, Dennis Melcher is leading the race by 1.1 seconds, and Andy Fox has quite a comfortable second place for Dodgy MOT at the moment. Onto the brakes then. Oh, Matt wriggling the car around. Make sure he gets it settled before he turns in. Josh has a bit of a bad time through the chicane. Matt goes to look down the inside, gives him a bit of a rub on the rear end. Checks out the braille. Chris Coughlin goes deep on the brakes as well. Tom Jacobs, real send down the inside. Absolutely body slams Carl Jackalette into the hairpin. Side by side they go again up the hill, just in front. Draycott and Coughlin still side by side. Jackalette makes it stick then. Oh, Jacobs turns in as Robb is there. Gets the car sideways and still manages to survive. Rob Lundgren wants in on this as well. Just behind them, Niall Crowther, Morgan Butler and Ben Lambert at the back. Having a bit of a scrap. But look at these boys here into turn 1. It's all so close together. It's great to watch. Josh Rayfield's run wide a little bit further up. Josh is still in 6th place at the moment in car number 6. But here's your race leader though, Dennis Melcher, doing a fine job in the number 88 Ericsson Hitters machine. And he needs this after having such a bad time in the first race meeting in race 1. Crashing out of the lead as well on lap 2. This is everything Dennis needs at the moment. Shout out to Andy Fox as well, by the way, 2nd place. What a job he's doing. Cracking work. But look at this. This is where it's at. I mean, we'll go on board with... actually, we'll look at Chris Coughlin. I'll tell you what, no we won't. We'll look at Rob Lundgren. Here is the battle for 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. As they go down towards the chicane from the helicopter cam, which looks brilliant as well over Donington Park. Onto the brakes then. Into the chicane. Look how smoothly they all try and get the car turned in to carry the pace. Tom Jacobs has got a mega run in the Nodaphone car. Oh, and Andy Fox has lost 2nd place after me saying how well he's doing. He's got a great cutback on Dave Waldock though. Let's just go back to Jacobs and Jackalette. This time Jacobs doesn't absolutely slam him in the door, but he just doesn't quite keep the speed up on the exit. Ben Lambert's just dispatched of Niall Crowther. Either that or it was Morgan Butler. But Andy Fox has been overtaken by Dave Waldock here. Let's have a quick look at what happened there. A bit of a tap again as well out the final corner, it sounds like. Oh, did Andy just get a slowdown maybe, or just a poor run? Oh, Dave's made it look easy though. Onto the brakes, into the hairpin. And he does try the cutback, but it doesn't work. This is what happened between Morgan Butler and Niall Crowther. Oh, Niall just turns into him, unfortunately. Matt Draycott's got past Josh Rayfield as well. Matt's back up to 6th place now. Jack Werrell is the next car ahead. Jack's in a bit of, well, I was going to say he's in a lonely race at the moment, but he's got these guys all in front of him. Niall Crowther's off the circuit at the old hairpin. In the dodgy MOT car, it will need a dodgy MOT after that. So many of these guys all so close together. I mean, behind Chris Coughlin, you've got Jackalette and Jacobs still having a fight. Carl is making that the widest Volkswagen Jetta in the world, but Jacobs down the inside into Coppice. All over the curb, car bouncing around. Rob Lundgren gives him a tap in the rear, and Tom just can't get away from these boys. Oh, Lundgren gets a tap off Derek Robb. There was an overlap, and Rob didn't leave the space. And as Fernando Alonso says, you have to leave the space. And he didn't do it. Derek Robb is actually slowing down to let him back past. That's really nice, that is, to be fair. He's almost stopped the car doing it. Oh, here's Ben Lambert down the inside of Morgan Butler into the chicane. That's not going to work, mate. And still, Carl Jackalette holds off Tom Jacobs. Oh, he's gone deep on the brakes, though. Nearly into the back of Chris Coughlin. Tom is still there. It's deja vu with these boys. Again, Tom's on the inside of the hairpin, and again, he doesn't quite make it work. But what epic racing we're having. 9 minutes into this 15-minute race as well. This is the sprint race. 2 races this evening for you. We have a 25-minute feature race coming up after this as well, with a mandatory pit stop. Carl is going to squeeze Tom all the way to the inside, all the way along this straight. Tom's got a good run though. Carl over to the left. He's going to try and carry the speed around turn 1. Oh, Tom gets a bounce out of there, and still he's not got this move done. Michael Blake and Michael Blake and Jack Werrell are side by side. I thought from my timing screen for a second there it was Fox. Oh, Michael just cuts the nose off Jack Werrell. Rob Lundgren is in the pit lane. Not sure whether he's been given a drive-through for contact. If you get 15 incident points, you do get a drive-through. Yeah, I think he might have done in that scenario. Jackalette and Jacobs, yet again, still battling. They go around McLean's. Still nothing. Don't these lighting effects look very strange, everyone? iRacing seems to have gone backwards a little bit with their lighting in this auto exposure update. Fingers crossed you can turn it off. I was told that you can, so we'll see what we can do about that between races. Andy Fox, though, still in 3rd place here. He's still on for a podium, and he's going to be hoping that Jack Werrell will put the pressure on Michael Blake behind him. Michael going a bit deep, though. 4th place at the moment. He's actually equal biggest mover in the field with Morgan Butler. Oh, Tom Jacobs and Carl Jackalette still fighting. Tom's on the outside now, which means he's going to be on the inside for the final corner. But Tom doesn't need this. Tom doesn't want to be fighting for the whole race, but Carl's put up a great defence against the championship leader. To the inside goes Jacobs. And finally through on Jackalette. just ahead. That's the battle for the independence lead as well. This is Matt Draycott and Chris Coughlin. Not quite sure what happened to Matt Draycott. He seemed to lose his positions when he lost P6. Let's have a look. Car bouncing around like nobody's business. And oh, he's got to slow down. He's cut that chicane or that corner, at least at Coppice, way too much. And now he's in a fight for the AM lead. Sorry, not the AM, the independent lead. But awesome racing from these guys so far. Ben Lambert and Niall Crowther at it again as they go into the old hairpin. No points up for grabs for these positions, but they don't care. They're still pushing it as best they can. Niall all over the back of him. It's good to see Ben improving so much as well. He may not be in a point scoring position right now, but it's good for him to at least be up there. This is going to be the first points of the season. Oh, he's had a bit of a blink there because of his internet. It's the first chance actually we're going to see for the Team Netcode cars to actually score points as well this season, which is nice. Nothing to write home about after Brands Hatch. Oh, it's got even closer for third place, by the way. Andy Fox could lose his podium spot here. Into the hairpin. He's got a little bit deep, but he's going to manage to keep the speed around the outside, or is he? Michael Blake has negated the overlay completely by the look of it. Or has he? He's coming over to the left to defend it a bit. Andy a little bit later on the brakes, though, still has the car down the inside. Michael's going to leave him the room, and he does so. I think Andy let off the throttle a little bit there, and he might not have had such a good run. And no, Michael Blake makes the move stick. So it's two Might Just Fit cars on the podium at the moment. Biggest mover in the field is Michael Blake. We'll pop the gains and losses up on the left-hand side of the screen for you. Nearly 13 minutes of the race gone now, so only 2 minutes to go. These guys are doing 1 minute 46s at the sharp end. So probably one more lap after this one. But your race leader, there he is, Dennis Melcher. He has done an amazing job considering that Matt Draycott led the race halfway around lap 1. And Dennis has managed to gradually bring it back. He took the lead back as quickly as he could. And he's run away with it here, and it's the sort of performance we expected from him. Dave Waldock in a strong second place as well. Oh, Morgan Butler's off the circuit at the old hairpin. Niall Crowther also visiting the grass in the background there. Manages to keep it all together. Draycott and Coughlin have split up a little bit now. Now it's Tom Jacobs on the back of Chris. He wants an extra championship point for another position gained. Sorry, you don't get the points with gaining positions, by the way, sorry. It's just that the position ahead will give him one more point. Andy Fox has lost out to Jack Werrell. Let's have a quick look back at how that happened. Down to the chicane. What's Andy done? Oh, Andy's gone way too deep into there, and Jack beautifully judged around the outside of him. Nice work there. And here is Jacobs and Coughlin. Chris comes over to the right. There's no overlap. Dennis Melcher is just going to start the final lap of the race. Jacobs putting the pressure on bit by bit on Chris Coughlin. Yeah, that auto exposure is getting turned off. I thought it was a great idea when I heard it, but yeah, not so beautifully executed, I'm afraid. iRacing on the brakes a little bit late. He goes, pressures Chris into running a bit wide. And he's actually managed to get the overlap from it. Side by side they go then down the crane of curves. Scary part of the track to go side by side with anybody, especially if you're where Tom Jacobs is right now. Doesn't want Chris to wash out wide into him. Onto the brakes, into the old hairpin. Tom gets the car pitched in nicely on the brakes, and through he goes into 8th position. Carl Jacquelet just waiting in the wings in the background there. We've passed 15 minutes now though. Oh, Ben Lambert's off the track at the old hairpin. Him and Niall have been loving the grass around there so far. Andy Fox has unfortunately sunk like a stone a little bit here. He was second before, and now Waldock, Blake and Werrell have all got past him. But back with your race leader then, Dennis Melcher. I said to him before the season started that we expected good things from him, especially knowing Dennis's history in this Volkswagen Jetta. We know it's a quick bit of kit under his hands. And as he comes up towards the final corner then, it looks pretty secure now. Checkered flag is going to be in the air. And as is tradition with me, everybody, I want clap emojis in chat for Dennis Melcher, who takes his first win of the season for Ericsson Hitters at Donington Park in the British Boring Car Championship. Epic performance by Dennis, very controlled. And then it's Mike Just Fit second and third for Dave Waldock and Michael Blake. What a great round for those guys. Then we have Jack Werrell just behind him fourth. Andy Fox just beating Josh Rayfield. Josh very happy with that position over the line. Matt Draycott is top independent for the third race running. He's got a 100% win record in that championship now. Tom Jacobs finishing 8th there. He's not going to be too pleased with that performance there. Chris Coughlin 9th. And Carl Jacquelet rounds out your points. But I tell you what, it was just so controlled by Dennis Melcher. No one could touch him in that one. Let's just see some of the guys rounding it out now. Derek Robb is going to finish in 14th position. And Rob Lundgren is going to be the last car to finish. That's Dennis's teammate. So one of the Ericsson Hitters cars at either end of the field after that one. But a brilliant race to get our night underway, don't you all agree? That was fantastic fun. So much action in those first few laps as well. So much action. So we're just waiting for the results to come up now. Let's have a look then. So, Dennis Melcher, your race winner from Dave Waldock and Michael Blake, making it both cars on the podium for Mike Just Fit. That's a really good performance for those guys. Then we have Jack Werrell in 4th with Andy Fox in 5th. Josh Rayfield, his first points of the championship there in 6th. He will get 5 points for his trouble. Matt Draycott top independent again, just ahead of Tom Jacobs there, only 3/10 between the two of them. Then we have Chris Coughlin, more points for him, with Carl Jacquelet getting his first points of the championship as well in 10th position. Then we have Morgan Butler in 11th, ahead of Ben Lambert and Niall Crowther, the dynamic duo that they turned out to be. Derek Robb finished 14th, with Rob Lundgren in 15th place, a minute down off the leaders after coming in the pits quite early on. We'll have a chat with him maybe later on and just see why that was. But round 3 of the championship, absolute belter. Really good fun to watch. And what we're going to do in just a second is have a bit of a break for you all. Just got to change a couple of things at my end here, so please do bear with me. If I was any sort of organised, I would have had this ready, wouldn't I? But that's me. Anyway, we're going to take a little bit of a break now. You can see some of the very pretty pictures from pre-season testing and the championship that's been going on before now. If you join me in about 5-10 minutes, we'll have race 2 for you, round 4 of the championship. And I'll tell you one thing, we'll see what the reverse grid is going to be. We'll keep the results up on screen for that as well, just so we can have a little check. Everyone finished on the lead lap as well. And it's 14. So Derek Robb will start on pole position ahead of Niall Crowther. Then it's Ben Lambert and Morgan Butler on row 2 with Carl Jacquelet 5th. Dennis Melcher and Rob Lundgren will be on the back row of the grid as teammates. That's not quite the result they would have been hoping for from that. But like I say, if you join me in a few minutes' time, everybody, we'll bring you the next round of the championship here on Chaz Draycott Media. Don't go away.
So let's forget about tomorrow and live for tonight while we're free. Touch the sky. Tonight we're coming alive. Touch the sky. Tonight we're coming alive. And our hands will touch the sky. Tonight we're coming alive. From the dust we will awaken, and life will fill our veins. But these are the moments that we live for. I can keep it inside of me. Touch the sky. Tonight we're coming alive. Touch the sky. Tonight we're coming alive.
Thank you for sticking around at the moment, everybody. We're just getting into the second session of the night now, and we'll have the next round of the championship for you. Round 4 from Donington Park. Don't forget, these guys will now have a 25-minute feature race with a mandatory pit stop. You'd be surprised at how difficult it was to make these jetters run out of fuel over the course of a race this short. 1 gallon of fuel gets them almost 15 minutes of driving. Full chat as well. That equated to about 10 laps of Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit as well, I must add. Definitely not the Indy Loop. But I hope you're all enjoying it so far. Certainly has been a very exciting meeting. Let's just see what these guys can do then for the second race of the night. So as you can probably hear, we have cars on circuit now. And here we are then. So, as you see, lower lit conditions for this one then. We're on what iRacing calls its late afternoon setting. And we're just waiting for the guys to get into the server now. A couple of the guys apparently reporting issues with the Discord chat. Fingers crossed that doesn't continue. Got 12 of the 15 drivers that took part in race 1 in the session so far. So here is Ben Lambert, who again had a bit of a tough race 1, no championship points for him yet, but he'll be hoping to gain some from this feature race. A lot of the guys will know that after the first one we saw, it is very much about survival in these feature races. Tom Jacobs is someone that really played it to his advantage last time. He went for the early pit stop. And he's actually fastest in practice at the moment. We'll put the gaps on the left-hand side for you. Only a few minutes left of this session, but you can see the beautiful lighting conditions that we have here now. That looks more like it, doesn't it, iRacing? Beautiful. So Morgan Butler and Michael Blake join us as well in the session. We're just 1 car short. There he is. Derek Robb has just jumped in too. So, 15 of the 16 cars that registered. Don't forget, Steve Burke is away this evening racing in the Brit Car E-Series. We wish him the best of luck in that and his endeavours there for Team Lizard Motorsport. So, everyone on the stream that's watching, whether you be on Facebook or on YouTube, what do you reckon we're going to see? Who's going to win? Who are we going to see at the top of the order in this one, man? Get your comments in, let us know. Let's see how good you lot would be if you went down to the bookies. Of course, Jack Werrell was the man that won race 2 at Brands Hatch in the second round of the season. Dave Waldock wouldn't be a bad pick. Dave has been very, very fast so far. Second place in that one, obviously, with his teammate Michael Blake grabbing a podium. So as the team standings go, those guys will be very, very happy. Don't forget to have a look out as well for the points standings, which will be going up on Chaz Draycott Media on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Potentially tonight, potentially tomorrow. It did take a while to organise that last image because, as you'll tell as well by the image itself, I really, really wanted to use the pictures of those cars. That's why the text is so far apart, but you all love it. So Dennis Melchett then, race 1 winner. Again, I have to say it, he was one of the favourites for the championship as soon as we started testing. Everyone knows how quick Dennis is. If you know of Dennis, you know that he is known by his team as the King of the Jetta. So whether he can get 2 back-to-back wins, we'll have to see. We didn't really expect anyone to get any double wins this season. So whether anyone does manage it or not, we'll have to see. Only a handful of seconds left then in this practice session, while the guys can have a quick warm-up and get used to the conditions. Of course, very different to the Race 1 conditions. Waldock goes third there for Might Just Fit. And that is the end of practice then. So, how are we going to do here then, boys? Let's just shut the music up and then we can get on with the grid for you all. That is not going to be the grid, is it? There we go, wait for it. Here is your grid then, we'll fly through it as quickly as possible. So it's Derek Robb, Niall Crowther, Ben Lambert and Morgan Butler. Then we have Carl Jackalette and Chris Coughlin, Tom Jacobs and Matt Draycott, Josh Rayfield, Andy Fox, Jack Werrell, Michael Blake, Dave Waldock, Dennis Melchett and Rob Lundgren will make up the back of the field for you. So, plenty of clicking away. The lights are going to come on, and round 4 of the British Boring Car Championship from Donington Park is go. And there was a bit of tyre smoke in the middle of the field there. I think someone may have jumped the start. And again, from the second row of the grid, it's one of the cars coming through. Niall Crowther has taken the lead. Ben Lambert has jumped through the middle. And Derek Robb has gone down to third place. Ben Lambert's got the inside line. He's done exactly what Matt Draycott did in the first race. And he's taken the lead at turn 1. Morgan Butler's gone wide on the exit. And he's managed to get it back on. It's Niall Crowther and Ben Lambert side by side down the hill then, down the crane of curves. Down towards the old hairpin. What can they do? Niall slots in front. Derek Robb wants in on this as well. That's Carl Jackalette in there with him. He's down the inside, is Carl. He doesn't care. Oh, there's contact. Carl's bouncing sideways. Tom Jacobs goes through. Matt Draycott's off the circuit on the outside. But Tom Jacobs already up to 4th position. Side by side with Butler. Butler's on his inside. Chris Coughlin just behind these guys, watching patiently. And just behind that, Carl Jackalette, Matt Draycott side by side. Then it's Jack Werrell. He's got Dennis Melchett in there with him. Josh Rayfield has lost out big time in the start of this. Oh, there's big contact there between Jackalette and Werrell. I think Werrell turned in on him. The two Might Just Fit cars are trying to squeeze through all this as well. Nose to tail all the way around. Rob Lundgren's been given a slowdown. So is Dennis Melchett. Both of them get slowdown penalties and both back to the rear of the field again. But it's Niall Crowther bouncing the Jetta through the chicane. And then it's Ben Lambert and both the Team Jane Fonda cars, Derek Robb and Morgan Butler. Again, absolutely nose to tail all the way up and down the order. Everyone just shimmying around on the brakes. Tom Jacobs down the inside of Morgan Butler. Derek Robb went a little bit deep on the inside of Morgan Butler there. Draycott and Jackalette, I think Draycott may have just repaid him the favour there. Then it's the two Might Just Fit cars and two Team Netcode machines. Onto the brakes and the hairpin. Look at all the different lines that these guys are taking around there. Oh, and straight into the pits. Tom Jacobs, Morgan Butler. Look at the guys jumping in here. This is the end of lap 1 and there's 5-6 cars pitting already. These guys want to get into clear air as soon as possible, don't they? Look at it. Look at them bouncing around over the pit lane. Beautiful. Michael Blake then. First car in the pit lane, but Niall Crowther leads the race. Ben Lambert second. Derek Robb has got Chris Coughlin and Matt Draycott right behind him here. We'll go on board with Matt as they go down the hill. The camera shaker's returned. Thank you, iRacing. If I didn't want it, I wouldn't put it on. Just behind these as well, Carl Jackalette's got Jack Werrell right up behind him. And out of all the cars that have pitted, we'll bring the pit stops up on the left-hand side for you, just so you've got an idea of who's pitted. And apparently Michael Blake is... Apparently he's at the top of the timing screen, not quite sure why it's done that. Morgan Butler is head of the cars that have pitted here. Dave Waldock behind him. Then it's Dennis Melchett and Rob Lundgren. But it's actually Michael Blake in there. Tom Jacobs only just coming out of the pit lane. What has happened to Tom? He's been in there for 46 seconds. And that is not how he wanted this to pan out. But here's your battle for the race lead then. Ben Lambert bobbling around all over the place with Niall Crowther just in front. Jack Werrell's got to slow down in the background. He's losing time. Ben down the inside of Niall. Ben's managed to get the car, despite bouncing, down the inside of him there. And through he goes, side by side up towards the hairpin. Onto the brakes. Matt Draycott having a look at Chris Coughlin here in the background. He's down the inside of Chris. Is there contact? There's a bit of a shoulder barge there. Chris wanted to go in the pit lane, I think. Derek Robb has come in. Just in the background as well, Josh Rayfield into the pits. Not sure what happened to Tom Jacobs, but here's the race lead then. For some reason, still showing that Michael Blake is in the race lead here. And I really don't know why. Let's just give it another little reload, shall we? Something has definitely gone wrong there, but it's not Michael Blake in the race lead. It's Niall Crowther and Ben Lambert. And Tom might have taken tyres, you know. He's way, way far down on the rest of the guys. He's 30 seconds behind. Now Michael Blake's crossed the line. It's counted him as coming in there. Derek Robb has just lost out to Melchett. Blake is now on the inside of Josh Rayfield. So this, effectively, Dave Waldock has effectively got the race lead. If you look at the stops on the left-hand side, Jack Werrell is the last car on track that hasn't pitted, but still, for the race lead, Niall Crowther and Ben Lambert. There is Ben, just on the left of your shot behind the timing tower now. Side by side into the chicane. Then they've got Matt Draycott in third place as well. These three all childhood schoolmates as well. They all live very nearby to me. They're all a great bunch. But Ben Lambert takes the race lead, and we've got 3 independents, the only 3 independents that are taking part tonight, in the top 4. Now, that is awesome to see. Look at all these guys taking so many early pit stops, though. Josh Rayfield has been absolutely mugged by some of these guys further down. He's got Michael Blake and Derek Robb in there with him, 3 wide down the straight. Don't do it, Mike. Michael and Derek came together at Brands as well, with Tom Jacobs involved, going 3 wide. Derek somehow fits in the gap between the two of them. Josh Rayfield sends it over the chicane. Same with Rob Lundgren just behind these guys. Michael Blake has apparently had a severe issue here. Oh, actually, sorry. It's because of when it ticked over, it said that he's stopped, which means that it would come up that he's crashed. So, Lambert, Crowther and Draycott, the 3 Stooges, all together as they go down the crane of curves. And Matt has, I mean, no disrespect to the other 2 in this, Matt has shown that he's got the pace over the other pair so far. Numbers 23, 24 and 26. Dave Waldock, though, the lead car that has pitted so far. Melchett and Morgan Butler having a bit of a argy-bargy there down the straight. Let's have a look at what happened here. Is Dennis going to just dive to the inside? He is. Oh, Morgan comes across to defend it and goes in too hot. Oh, there's a little bit of contact on the exit as well. It's only tiny. Matt Draycott's up to 2nd place, by the way. He's still side by side with Niall Crowther, but it looks like he's got it done down the inside of Coppice, onto the brakes. And now Niall absolutely sends it back down the inside of him, manages to hold him up somewhat, and Chris Coughlin's going to come through here as well and try and take Niall. In the Matt Neal replica car, he's too close for comfort there. Onto the brakes, into the hairpin. Matt's gone deep. Ben's also gone deep. He was saying that he hates that corner in practice. Manages to get it done. Crowther and Coughlin still side by side. Jackalette and Fox in there as well. Here come the cavalry. Andy wants to come forward and defend his teammate Jack Werrell in there as well. It's great. We've got this gaggle of cars that have pitted further back, and then these guys that all haven't pitted yet. Let's see if anyone comes in. Jackalette is in. Fox and Werrell. So they leave the front 4 to go about their business. And I'm very pleased to say this. Here's your race leader, Ben Lambert, in the independent DC Book car. He's flying at the moment. He's managed to get a bit of a gap over Draycott now. These 2 both in the Independents Championship together. And let's just see where Dave Waldock comes out in comparison to these guys. He's gone past Andy Fox. He's gone past all of them, in fact. Same with Dennis Melchett as well. Where's Josh Rayfield going to fit into this? Michael Blake and Derek Robb are side by side as they come out as well. Oh, there's contact there. Didn't need to happen. Derek just edges over to Mike. Oh, and again, rubbing panels. Derek's really not giving him much room at all. Mike's trying to push through. Quite literally at this pace. He looks down the inside into the old hairpin. He's not having any of it. He's got Morgan Butler behind him as well. They both run wide. They're pushing so hard. Michael really wants to get past Derek. Or Dell, as he's known to his mates. Oh, Chris Coughlin and Niall Crowther have come to strife. What's happened there? Chris down the inside of Niall into the chicane. Niall maintains a straight line. Doesn't go across to the racing line yet. On the brakes. Oh, Niall just loses it, actually. They didn't actually come together. I thought there would have been a bit of an incident. Michael Blake's still not past Eric Robb yet. And Matt Draycott has the race lead from Ben Lambert. Just as we were looking at that, it's happened. Yeah, just as we were watching the replay. Is Ben going to go deep into the hairpin? Yeah, Matt looks down the inside, gets the overlap. Oh, he's late on the brakes. Nicely committed move there from Matt Draycott, and he leads this race and still hasn't been. Look at it wobbling wide though, and he's gone wide, and that is going to give Ben Lambert the race lead back. Surely Ben goes through in the 24, and through he goes. And look at this as well, Nodaphone. Right, back down the order here. There's a great gaggle of cars all together. Andy Fox is back in the pit lane. What's happened, Andy? Tom Jacobs all on his own at the back of the field. Jack Werrell is down in 13th. There's Michael Blake trying again to put the move on Derek Robb. Still not happening. But we've got 3 independents, first, second and third in this race so far. Ben Lambert and Matt Draycott, then Chris Coughlin, Niall Crowther just behind. Matt sends it down the inside into Coppice, and there is the race lead. Finally now for Matt Draycott. But he's only 22 seconds ahead of Dave Waldock, and the full pit lane time for some of these guys has been 35 seconds. So I don't think that Matt's going to retain the race lead after this, just because of the amount of battling that they've been doing. You can see some of the cars in the background there. Be interesting to see. Dennis Melcher's done the fastest lap of the race, chasing down Dave Waldock for 5th. And Andy Fox has had some sort of issue. I'm not quite sure what's gone on with it, I'm afraid. Oh, as we have a bit of a blink there for a second. Here's Carl Jacquelet. Sorry about that, everybody. I think we had a bit of an internet fart there. This is Michael Blake down the inside. Derek Robb gets into Jacquelet. Carl is running out wide. There's contact behind as well between Jack Werrell and Lundgren. Morgan Butler's in this too. Robb to the outside of Blake, onto the brakes. Lundgren down the inside of Jacquelet. Derek Robb hits him. Lundgren goes, thank you very much, boys. Some freebies. 2 places there for him. And now they all slot in. No, they don't. Jacquelet and Werrell are side by side. Jack comes over to the left a little bit. Now Werrell's... Oh, Jacquelet's down the inside of Derek Robb. More contact and more contact. Derek Robb sideways. Jacquelet's the one that loses out from it. And now Morgan Butler and Derek Robb at either side of Jack Werrell. Still having a fight. Jack down the inside into turn 1. Dell turns in, commits to the corner. He doesn't care that Jack's there. Now Morgan's going to try and push Jack down the hill. Oh, Morgan's run a bit wide there, actually, going through Craner curves. Well, Dave Waldock is setting the pace now. He has got 1.6 seconds back to Dennis Melcher. The race lead's close again as well. I think Matt Draycott might have had a slowdown here. Ben Lambert's lost it on the brakes. The car was all over the place. He somehow still makes the corner. Chris Coughlin just ahead of Niall Crowther there. Has Niall got a slowdown for that? Doesn't look like it. But we've got a brilliant scrap going on between these guys. This is ace to watch. I'm really loving this, and I hope you guys are as well. Don't forget, like the video as well, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. Subscribe if you are on YouTube. Don't forget to like the page, Chaz Draycott Media. For more of this, we've got the entire season pretty much left. This is only the second race meeting. Matt Draycott around the final corner. Into the pits he goes. Lambert goes with him. What does Chris Coughlin do? Chris and Niall staying out again. Staying out for even more laps now. Let's see whether they can keep that up. So through they go. Dave Waldock, where is he? He's just coming out the final corner. And I tell you what, I think Ben Lambert and Matt Draycott are not going to get out in front of him. Definitely not, no. Look at that. Waldock goes through. They're on their way out the pit lane, but it's not going to be a race win at this point for them. Draycott comes out. Where is Josh Rayfield? There he is Josh going to beat Ben in there as well? Josh just slots in between the two of them, and Matt Draycott effectively inherits third place in the race there. Now it all depends on what Chris Coughlin does as to whether Matt is going to retain his 100% win streak in the Independents Championship. Don't forget, the Independents are the drivers on the left-hand side that are designated with a yellow strip. Everyone else just has their team colours. Niall Crowther and Jack Werrell, the only cars that currently where they started in the race. And Tom Jacobs, championship leader, has had an absolute mare here. We've just gone over halfway through the race, but Tom must have taken tyres or something in the pit stop, and it's ruined his race. Oh, we've got Michael Blake off the circuit as well, just at the top of the hill. He's going to be pleased just to have got away from Derek Robb now, because he would have been absolutely cursed by it. Jack Werrell has cleared Morgan Butler. They had a bit of a swap around earlier as well. He's starting to calm down a little bit now, but Dave Waldock and Dennis Melcher have both gained 10 places each in this race. 3rd and 4th at the moment. And here is Matt Draycott and Josh Rayfield fighting again. Josh has had a great night. The two race leaders are in the pit lane, as you can see on the left-hand side then. So we no longer need to see the stops on the left. Although, actually, let me just have a quick look at Andy Fox. Yeah, Andy Fox has apparently done 2 pit stops, so I'm not quite sure whether he didn't have enough fuel in it or something. Matt has held off Josh Rayfield this time, but here is Dave Waldock then. And it looks like Niall Crowther and Chris Coughlin are not out of the pits yet. No, they're only just getting going now. Chris has. Niall gets out in front of him, but Matt Draycott, Josh Rayfield and Ben Lambert have all gone through. Let's see how these guys get on here. Michael Blake is coming down the straight. They have definitely cleared him. So Chris Coughlin then 7th place, Crowther in 6th. Just ahead though, this battle's brilliant between Draycott, Rayfield and Ben Lambert as well. He's been awesome to watch now in 5th position. But that means, everybody, that Dave Waldock is your race leader for Might Just Fit, and on his way, as things stand, to be our 4th different race winner in 4 races in the British Boring Car Championship. Dennis Melcher has had a great evening so far, pole position and a win in race 1. With Dave Waldock getting a 2nd place in race 1. It looks like they're going to switch the honours around for race 2 as things stand. Here is the battle for the final podium spot though. This is Draycott with Rayfield bouncing around all over his rear bumper. Ben Lambert trying to stay with them. Ben has really shown that he's got the pace. And in the background there is Chris Coughlin with Michael Blake all over the back of him. Derek Robb is off the circuit. He's run wide. Around the DRS board he goes. Draycott on 2 wheels through the chicane. Josh Rayfield cuts quite a lot of it there. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get a slowdown for that. Seems like he's got away with it though. Oh, there's an overlap there. He doesn't want to turn across the front of him. Matt defends really hard into the hairpin, and Ben Lambert's down the inside of Josh Rayfield. Josh is alongside, bit of a tap. Very close between them there, and then Lundgren and Blake are also having a bit of a battle further down here with Chris Coughlin, who's still defending from the pair of them. Lundgren weaving around a little bit, just showing that he's there. He's saying, I will get you. I will get you, Mike. Don't you worry, mate. Oh, Mike catches the grass a bit on the exit. You wouldn't bet against Dennis winning it, eh? Oh, and Josh is down the inside of Draycott. I saw the time come way down on the timing screen. Bit more contact on the exit. Ben has to get on the brakes just to avoid hitting the back of Josh Rayfield there. Down the crane as they go. Matt slots back into 3rd place, still somehow defending this position. Into the old hairpin. No, Ben Lambert's dropped it. He manages to keep his footing. What a save from Ben Lambert. What a save indeed on the way in. That's the beauty of front-wheel drive. Ben just plants his foot down and gets the car pointing the right way again. What a save, everybody. Clap emojis in chat for Ben. Draycott, though, he wants this podium spot so badly, and so too does Josh Rayfield. He doesn't want to give anything up. Here's the battle just behind. This is Coughlin with Blake down the inside. Michael goes through into 7th place. Rob Lundgren wants a sniff at this as well. He's also going to try and get 8th position. And again, Draycott and Rayfield still changing places. A bit of a wobble on the brakes there. Draycott gets it turned in. Josh compromises his line and loses a bit of time. And that's a breather for Draycott now. We've got 7 minutes of this race to go. And this lead gap has come down to nothing now. It's 0.3 of a second between Melcher and Waldock. And Ian Fox has said in the YouTube chat, I wouldn't bet against Dennis winning. and he's really got the pace. I did allude to the fact that I didn't really expect anybody to get both race wins in one night anytime soon this season, but Dennis is looking likely to get that. Josh Rayfield and Ben Lambert just swapped around a little bit there on the timing screen, but looks like he's managed to keep their place as they are. Jack Werrell has got past Chris Coughlin a bit further down the order. It's unfortunate for Tom Jacobs, though, at the moment. Championship leader all on his own in 14th. Andy Fox as well, all on his own in 15th. And Ben would have definitely had a Code Brown moment. He might have another one here with Josh Rayfield side by side with him down the craners. Let's see what they can do. Ben runs out wide, but he's going to be on the inside for the old hairpin. What can Josh do about that? No, Josh commits to the corner. Says, thank you very much, I'm going to have that. All this time they're battling, though. Matt Draycott can gain a bit of time and run away with the race lead. The Independence race lead. Ben Lambert obviously trying to chase him down for that, but this is the lead gap now. Dave Waldock has Dennis Melchett right up behind him with 6.5 minutes of the race to go. Dennis is in a position to definitely take a win again. It's going to be a controlled drive from him, though. It always is. Dave Waldock doesn't really crack under pressure from what I've seen. Dennis now manages to get an overlap out the chicane. He's going to try it down the hill towards the hairpin. They change around on the timing screen as if Dennis has gone in front just because he gets his nose ahead. Dave, though, the car bounces like mad on the apex of the corner. Still side by side up towards the hairpin. Dennis is going to have the inside line now. And Dave can feel this lead going away. He needs to carry the pace. And Dennis has surely got it done. Dave gets on the power as soon as he can. He's now going to have the inside to turn one. Still side by side for the lead. It looks like Dave's actually got the pace on him down the straight there. They're moving around a little bit. Dave comes over slightly to the left-hand side. He's still got the inside line. Gets on the power again as soon as he can. They're so close to contact. Still side by side. They've been side by side for about 4 corners now. Down the craners. Still side by side. Bit of wheel banging, a bit of door banging. They're both banging. Dave Waldock is around and he's off on the grass. And he's in the gravel. Oh, and in all honesty, I don't think Dave left the room. And Dennis Melchett has gone clear and into the lead. Josh Rayfield is again all over the back of Matt Draycott. And they're going to be laughing because they're thinking, oh, hey up, boys, we've got a freebie here. Are they going to go for it? Josh gets on the brakes. Matt goes down the outside of Dave Waldock into McLean's. These two came together at Brands Hatch. Dave went down the inside into Paddock Hill Bend. And then they made contact at Druids, spinning Matt around. But Dave waited for him very patiently. They turn in. Josh has got a front row seat to this. But Dave Waldock then in the fight for the lead, and it didn't happen in the end. He just didn't leave the space, I'm afraid. They're 3 wide going into the chicane. Please don't do this, lads. Last time we had 3 wide, it didn't end well. On the brakes, who's going to brake first? Rayfield gets out of it. Very, very smart there. Draycott turns in. There's contact between Rayfield and Draycott. I think Josh might have got a slowdown for that. Ben Lambert wants to come through the middle as well. Is he going to make it 3 wide? They are. Josh comes over a little bit. Ben nearly hits Matt. Oh, Josh has gone way too deep on the brakes there. And Ben Lambert's gained 2 places out of this. He actually gets past Draycott as well. Chris Coughlin's off the circuit. Oh, Chris is off big time. What happened there to Chris? Let's have a look. Chris and Rob. Oh, Chris comes over the front of Rob Lundgren's nose there. He naturally went to go for the racing line. It didn't work. Jack Werrell has come in the pit lane. Not sure what's caused that. Here's Michael Blake attacking Niall Crowther into turn 1. Bit of contact again. Niall's going to run wide there. Mike doesn't... Oh, wow. Okay, what happened there for Mike? Something's gone seriously wrong there for Michael Blake. Let's have a look. Comes to the inside. Oh, he's just gone straight on and he turned left. He went left-hand down there. I hope that wasn't an attempt at intentional wrecking there. More contact between Josh Rayfield and Ben Lambert. These two have been absolutely inseparable. But Matt Draycott, after that little scrap before, has lost out a bit up there. I'm not sure if it was a wheel failure. It didn't look very sudden to be a wheel failure. I'm not sure whether it might have given him too many incident points or something, that Niles turned across him and Mike got angry about it, but intent wrecking's not the way to go, boys. Wow, Matt Draycott has to avoid Ben Lambert very, very quickly there and manages to do so, but Josh Rayfield has now jumped up and he's going to effectively be in third place. It is saying that Mike is at the top of the standings there. These guys do need to think about their incident point count, though. They do get 25 before they get a drive-through, and it's pretty generous, to be honest. We are going to see door-to-door stuff. Just over a minute to go, though, means that this is going to be the final lap for Dennis Melchett. And he now has a 7-second lead over Dave Waldock. Josh Rayfield has done well to catch back up, though, so quickly there. That's brilliant. He's had a really, really good return to the championship, as Josh didn't have a very successful first meet. And this is the battle for the Independence race lead, by the way, between Draycott and Lambert. And somehow Niall Crowther has managed to be in there again with them. Derek Robb is in the pit lane. It's a drive-through. So again, I think these guys are just hitting that incident point limit. And I'm quite surprised at that, because, I mean, 25, anyone that knows iRacing, 25 is quite a bit. Well, here's Matt Draycott then, Ben Lambert and Niall Crowther, the dynamic duo from race 1. Just thinking about what Ben Lambert can do here now. He's not really got long left to do anything. Into the hairpin though. And I tell you what, I wasn't expecting this evening. But Dennis Melchett back up the hill. And the checkered flag is going to be out for the second time. More clap emojis in chat, please, everybody. Dennis Melchett takes his second win on the bounce, second win of the season, round 4 of the championship, and is the first driver to win both races in one evening. What a great drive. Dave Waldock mirrors his first race as well and gets second place, and Josh Rayfield is going to get a podium. And oh, Niall Crowther and Ben Lambert together there, making contact, and Matt Draycott gets 4th, wins the independent class again. Niall Crowther finishes 5th, Ben Lambert finishes 6th. Good points for him. Same with Rob Lundgren. Morgan Butler gets some points as well. Chris Coughlin 9th, and what happened to the Nodaphone cars? Jack Werrell in 10th place. Carl Jackalette finishes 11th. Derek Robb is going to come across the line in 12th position. Oh, excuse me, music, thank you. Then we've got Tom Jacobs just behind there. He was the championship leader going into this one, but not many points for Tom this evening. And Andy Fox is going to finish in 14th place. Around the final corner he goes then in the dodgy MOT number 21 car. Not the easiest of nights for him.
When I think of the future, I think of the men and machines and friends and ideas and philosophy and spirits.
And there you go then. That is going to round out race 2 of the night, round 4 of the championship. And Dennis Melchett, well, what can be said? We said he was going to be one of the favourites going into the championship. And he takes 2 wins in one night. Dave Waldock, 2 second places as well. He's going to be over the moon with that one. Josh Rayfield finishing in 3rd, gets his first podium of the campaign. Matt Draycott, again, another strong night for him. 4th place in that one, just ahead of Niall Crowther in 5th. Then we have Ben Lambert, 6th position there. Great finish for him. And then Rob Lundgren in 7th with Morgan Butler in 8th place. 9th is Chris Coughlin, and then 10th is Jack Werrell. Carl Jackalette 11th, with Derek Robb in 12th, and Tom Jacobs finishing in 13th. Andy Fox 14th, and then Michael Blake, unfortunately after that at the end there, 2 laps down, finishing at the bottom of the pile. And Andy taking the national loop. But Dennis Melcher, understandably, very happy with that. It looks like we've got the typical what we call helicopter syndrome, where the camera's not picking up the wheels are actually spinning there. In Rob Lundgren's car as well, actually. On board with Dennis Melcher there. And who better to speak to, though, than, well, the man himself. We may as well drag him in. Dennis, that's one way to do it, mate. I bet you're over the moon with that, aren't you?
Yeah, thank you very much. But first of all, I have to say sorry for the contact with in race 2. It's normally not my kind of racing to push someone off, but I had nowhere to go there. And I think both of us just wanted to go there. And yeah, in the end we touched, so I'm very sorry.
It's okay, mate. It was very, very close racing. It was exciting to watch, and we saw that there was obviously a few bits where there was a tiny little bit of a tap, for example, and then like I said on the stream, I don't think Dave left all the room in the world. But it was an exciting finale, though. I mean, you've got 2 wins on the bounce, though. That makes up for last week, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I drove with a lot of anger in my stomach. And yeah, I messed up the start in race 1 as well, and that gave me the extra boost of pushing, and I was pushing.
It certainly looked like it. Your pace was absolutely on fire. Was the dog wasn't about this evening then, was she?
No, I put her outside.
I love it. Absolutely
But
love
now
it.
I have to get up and get her back in. So
Well, very well done though, mate. We'll keep it short for you, but that'll pretty much undoubtedly put you to the top of the standings. Just before we let you go, though, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to, mate?
yeah, big thanks to Volvo Racing to give me the opportunity to drive for them. Big shout out for Team Mad. My girlfriend is still in the hospital, so big shout out for her. And some of my friends are watching as well, and my mom again. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you very much, mate, and well done again. It was great to watch tonight. A real sort of assertion of your dominance on the championship, and we'll see whether you can keep it up next time.
Thank you very much, Chaz.
Cheers. Dennis Melcher there, winning both races this evening and doing an absolutely epic job on the way there. Next driver that we'll drag in actually for an interview is independent Chris Coughlin. Chris, that looked quite a lively evening from your point of view, buddy.
Well, lively. My mobile phone's just rang, and Lonsdale have phoned me asking if they can sponsor me with a new range of punch bags. It's pretty cool. I'm quite proud.
Well,
Yeah.
it looked like a lot of action from the mid pack. There was a lot of bumping and boring, but
For sure.
it certainly looked like fun though. What do you reckon?
It would have been more fun if I'd come back with the car in one piece. I had a good opportunity tonight. I thought I was nowhere, and in race 1 I very quickly learned the hop lapping wasn't all that in a bag of potato chips, because I was able to sort of stay on top of the car for the race. So I lost a couple of places in race 1 from a bit of a Christmas present delivered from somebody to somebody else, and I was the gift. So I'll wear a bow next week for that. But with Steve Burke not being here tonight, I had a big chance to grab a fistful of points that I might get elsewhere. So yeah, I'm a bit hoo-hoo-sa this evening. Jack and I have spoke about race 2 as well, so I think we've sort of cleared the air there. He meant to smash me, I meant to smash him, so all's fair in love and no teeth. But yeah, a little bit of pride in the fact that I was able to hustle up the grid more than I thought I would, and a little bit of sorrow at some unsavoury moves that I think might require a little bit of either the headmaster's office or in the back of the bike sheds, but I'm sure you'll get there first.
Well, fair enough, mate. It is totally appreciated. Everything will be looked at, though. Like I say, there is a lot of... I spend a lot of time in the replays doing the screenshots, but it's not just the screenshots I look at, as you can imagine, so don't you worry about that. But in terms of the championship overall, though, how are you finding it? Is it a good laugh with these boys?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we separate now at times of the race because I'm old and I can't handle a lot of noise and I don't hear the engine tone that much. So I need a cherry bomb on the back to be able to hear it and socialise. But pre and post race stuff is good for sure.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I just wish I was 20 years younger and could turn the wheel quicker.
Well, next time round we go to Silverstone, to the beautiful international layout.
My favourite track.
Yeah? You reckon you're going to go alright there?
No, I'll still be junked, but at least I'll be able to go around there with a bigger grin on my face.
Oh, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Well, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before you go, buddy?
Nah, everyone can sort off.
Well, have a good.
You. Of course you. That's thanks to you.
No worries, Chris. Good to speak to you again, buddy. We'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
Cheers. Okay, and someone else that's going to have a big smile on his face after a very successful evening in the championship, Dave Waldock. Dave, 2 second places, mate. Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
Hey Chaz, yeah, I'm really pleased with that. You know, getting second place in both of them. I didn't expect it, to be honest, because I hadn't had a lot of practice around here. So, yeah, good.
Talk to me about the contact with Dennis, though. I know it may be a bit of a sore point, but you still managed to bring it home second. But what was going through your head when that battle was going on?
Well, I could see Dennis. You know, he had the pace. And he was gaining on me all the time, and I thought I'm gonna kind of try to. I didn't feel like I was defending it really hard. I felt like Dennis was a little bit aggressive there. But it is what it is. You know, you kind of race an accident, and luckily, I know it kind of got 3 wide. Luckily, I managed to hold on to second there. So yeah.
Well, it's a plenty of points for you after that one, so it's going to do wonders in your championship. As it goes over to Silverstone next week, it's the international layout, the old one that the touring cars used to drive on. Have you got much experience around there on iRacing?
A little bit, not loads, but a little bit. But I'll get a little bit. Hopefully, I'll get a bit more practice in this week. So yeah.
See whether you can get more of the same and maybe a race win at last. But just before we let you go, Dave, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, mate?
I'd like to give a shout out to the SMD boys that I race with. So I know Fordy was in the chat. So yeah.
Cracking. Good stuff. Well, good to speak to you as always, Dave. Well done on your results, mate. It's great to see the Might Just Fit cars getting some good points out of the series, and we'll see you at Silverstone.
Cheers, Chaz.
Cheers. And, well, at the end of last week, we had a chat with these boys, and it was absolute cloud 9 and in terms of their championship and their results. But race 2, boys, we're speaking to the Nodaphone lads. What happened?
Well, to start off with, hello everyone at home. I hope you enjoyed that one, but I didn't. So the start, I don't know. I, for some reason, my mind said yes, press the throttle when the red lights come on.
Oh, I thought I saw smoke actually. So was it you that jumped the start then?
Yes, but it was only very slight, and it was the tiniest little jump, and then it gave me a 35-second penalty, and we had a bit of an issue in race 1. I did as well, so I didn't have the best race in race 1, getting a slowdown. So yeah, not the best race for myself tonight, and feeling a little bit of a dog with his tail between his legs. But you know, there's always next week.
Yeah, definitely. It's a shame to see such a lack of points come from that one, especially after having the championship lead beforehand. Jack, talk to me about your ventures in that one as well. You certainly had a couple of moments where the guys had their elbows out a bit.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't the race I was looking for, but here isn't the time or place to start naming names of people I'm going to bring up a later date. But yeah, it was tricky. There was questionable driving, but then that's just touring cars for you. But yeah, definitely, it feels like today was people were being not more aggressive, but just generally more willing to take those extra risks, like maybe just squeezing you that extra couple of inches, or braking that a few feet later when they're behind you, so they get much closer to the rear of your car. And then because of their various driving incidents, whether that be on my part or others, I ended up picking up a drive-through.
Ah, right, it was a drive-through then.
So yeah, I just served that, and I made it my goal just to work my way back up the order and back into the points, and I think I eventually got 1 point out of that race. So 8 points for 2 races tonight isn't what I was looking for after getting 25 in 1 round last week. So if we were doing drop weeks, I'm going to tell you now, this one would be my drop week, because I never plan on being in this situation ever again.
Well, it's all about keeping your chin up for the next one, isn't it? And speaking of, we go to Silverstone International, a layout very famous in the British Touring Car Championships history. What do you reckon of that one, Tom, as we go to there?
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting one. I think it'll be a little bit like Donington. The Jet she's a crazy beast for momentum. She loves it. So, and there's not really much power to get down on the straights. So I think it'll be another one much like Donington. Hopefully we can capitalise on that, both me and Jack, but we'll have to see how it goes. To be honest with you, I'm looking much more forward to Alton Park because I feel like I've got a bit more of an advantage there. I've driven so many laps there, but yeah, we'll give it our best at Silverstone.
And what about you, Jack? Is it a layout that you've got much experience with? I suppose you probably weren't born when the touring cars used to race around there, were you?
No, I wasn't. I was sort of like -2, -3 by the time by the time I came about. But it's I know the track quite well, and I know the layout after driving it in various series. But the only thing is, I've only driven it in single seaters, so it's going to be a bit of a steep learning curve. And my money's on a lot of 1Xs because obviously you've got turn 1 and bridge is going to be a tricky one because you want to carry all the speed through there like as much as you can. But I guess towards the end of the feature race when the tyres start to degrade by quite a lot, and if you're in draft you're just going to end up on the infield, so you've got to make sure you keep within the white lines there, and that is my goal. I just want to score points in every round from now.
Well, I hope you can do so, boys. Bit of a tough night overall, like you say, but I know that you'll bounce back from it. The championship's already shown just in 2 rounds how topsy-turvy it can very quickly be. Just before I let you go, though, Tom, first I'll start with you. Anyone you want to give a shout-out to, mate?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to my dad, Big Ash, watching at home. Hope you enjoyed that one, Dad. Sid as well, my girlfriend. She lets me do this every week and spend money on silly screens and all that sort of good stuff. And also Dennis Melchert's dog, who gave him the curse last week and has now given it to me and Jack this week.
Love it. And what about you, Jack?
No.
Okay, brilliant. Doing the Steve Burke, are we? Just caught a lovely moment if you actually get sideways out of McLean's to go with that. Good to speak to you as always, though, boys, and we will see you at Silverstone.
See you later, mate. Have a good night.
The Nodaphone guys there. We'll do one more interview, and someone that I really want to have a chat with after an eventful night, but a point-filled night. Josh Rayfield joins me in the booth. Josh, welcome, mate. I bet you're beaming, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm well happy with that result, honestly.
A podium as well in just round 4 of the championship. Were you expecting that when you came tonight?
No. I was expecting to be either in a wall like I was last time or at the back, just because of penalties or off tracks and stuff, to be honest. But I'm proper happy with that last result that I just got there. It's proper good.
Well, of course, with the feature race as well, giving you a lot of points, that's going to really help your championship campaign. And obviously, after the team got no points at Brands Hatch, you both got points in race 1, and then you've got a big haul of them, 15 points in race 2 there. So it's definitely improved, hasn't it? Has anything changed?
No, not really. I think where at Brands, there's a lot of places you can get off tracks with. Here, it's only really the chicane, maybe turn 1 and Old Herburn. So I think that helps a lot with confidence on like the corners and stuff. So you can carry like a lot more speed around here than you could like at Brands, for instance.
Yeah. And what was it like chasing Matt? I mean, you two had a proper ding-dong battle, didn't you?
Yeah,
We're just watching
both
a bit
races.
Of it now.
Shout out to Matt though. Absolutely cracking races with him. Proper did enjoy it. Like probably the best race I've had, to be honest. Definitely.
There was a little bit of contact here and there, but it didn't look too serious, to be honest. Were you speaking during the race together?
Yeah, we was. Yeah. It was probably just like I said to him, "Oh, let's work together to try and catch up to David." I think it was because obviously he had that offer in the second race.
Yeah.
And we was going to work together, but the time he got back on the track, we was both on his rear bumper, so I was just like sending it. That's it.
Love it. Good stuff. Well, very well done tonight, there, mate. We go to Silverstone International next week. Obviously, as I've just been saying to the other guys as well, it's a legendary track in British touring car history.
Yes.
Do you know the layout well?
Sort of, yeah. I have a rough idea of kind of where it goes, so hopefully I can get another 2 good results there as well.
Well, it'll be good to see you do that, mate, and obviously for the team as well. Very well done, like I say, and is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, can I give a shout out to you for hosting the series, and thanks to my mum, dad and everyone like that for supporting me in the series and do what I do, so...
Cracking. Thanks very much, mate. Good to see you. See you soon.
See you in a bit, mate.
Josh Rayfield there of Team Netcode. And once again, everybody, that brings us very, very quickly, it's absolutely flown by, as they all do, to the end of another race meeting. Rounds 3 and 4 of the championship done with in the British Boring Car Championship. Dennis Melchert takes pole position, race 1 win, and race 2 win. And I didn't think we were going to see that in the championship for a very long time. But it's going to be hard for the guys to catch him if he keeps that up. Dave Waldock, 2 second places as well, while Tom Jacobs falters in race 2. And loses a chance at quite a lot of points after starting above them on the grid. I've been Chaz Draycott of Chaz Draycott Media, of course. Thank you very much for joining me this evening, and we hope to see you at Silverstone in a week's time when the British Boring Car Championship takes on rounds 5 and 6. Have a great night.